Hey everyone, it has been a minute. Grace here. Today I'm going to be cooking because it is around 6:30 at the moment, and we are going to also talk about how I manage my bank accounts, my mindset with money, my mindset with spending, and kind of just sharing my story with you all. There's so many videos out there in the world telling you, oh, how a millionaire got to where they are, or like how does someone who drives a McLaren get to where they are. But you know, like honestly, those are so far-fetched that it's so hard to get to. So today I'm going to be sharing with you realistically kind of how an everyday person with a 9-to-5 job gets to a net worth that is in the comfortable 6 figures. And in the stage of my life, I am currently 34. I think there's a lot that we can learn from one another. And of course, if you have any other tips or you want to share your story as well, feel free to comment down below. And also, because this is not financial advice and this is the internet, please make sure you are not disclosing anything that is personal. Without further ado, I'm going to do half cooking and also half takeout as well. So we're going to get started and start chatting a little bit about money while I cook. So we are going to make some rice for dinner, and then I'm going to get takeout. And when I do order takeout, I do tend to order something that is like a dish that I could spread across several meals, and all I need to do is basically make rice and veggies, and that is a great way to save money. So there are a few bank accounts that I actually have. So all of my bank accounts are with one single bank at the moment, and basically I have a checkings account, I have a savings account, I also have 2 or 3 tax-free savings accounts. If you want to ask me how I split my money, I would say 10% of my entire portfolio is in cash, so I can take it out anytime in case I need it. And then I also have about 50% of it tied to real estate, so unless I sell my place, I cannot cash that chunk out. And then lastly, I also have the other 40% in investments. So investments of all kind. We've got investments like retirement funds, I have ETFs, I do investments into individual stocks as well. So I do have a wide collection of different investments that I do. So the reason why I have 10% cash is basically in case there's anything that I really need, I then kind of go into that. So for example, if I need to fix up my car, or if there's a big payment coming up, I know for sure that I don't need to separately save up for that. That's kind of like how it works. So in my checkings account, that's kind of where my paycheck goes in. If I sell anything off of Facebook, it goes in there. If I make any kind of money, side hustles and things like that, all goes into checking. So my checkings is essentially for paying off my credit card, my bills and things like that. That's essentially what my checkings account is for. At the end of the month, whatever is left, I usually tend to put 20% of what is left after my bills into my investments account, so things like stocks or whatever, and then the rest, whatever is left in there, goes into my savings. Doesn't that just sound so cute when your rice cooker makes that sound? Anyways, so while that is cooking, now we can kind of talk about the money mindset and how this all works. So essentially how I kind of got this money mindset is that no matter how much money you make, it is really about how you spend, right? If you could make 300K, 400K, 500K a year, but at the end of the day, if you don't really know how to manage your money, investing, or how you spend, it really doesn't matter, right? Because all the things that you could be purchasing have no retention value, right? So it's all really about how you're spending. How I've gotten to where I am now essentially is that I've never been a big spender. I'm always thinking in the back of my mind, how can I stretch this a little bit further? So whether it is a meal, for example, I'm gonna get takeout in a bit, I can always think of, okay, how can I stretch this? I could make rice to go with it, right? So then I could have 2 meals versus getting a dish, let's say like a bowl of noodles, right? Because a bowl of noodles doesn't really keep well, so I rarely get a bowl of noodles for dinner because I know I can't carry it over to the next day, right? Or even things like if I'm purchasing something expensive, I'm always thinking, okay, am I going to use this for a long time, or is this going to just go one-time use and that's pretty much it? And at the same time, when I think about, can I afford this thing, and if I can buy 2 of that without being in debt, or that this is going to take away from something else, then I know I can afford it. So that is my rule of thumb for affordability, is if I can buy this thing without taking something away that I need, then I can afford it. You always hear people talk about investing in real estate, and I do 100% agree depending on where you live, because not every city has that potential for real estate to be like booming, right? So I just so happen I live in a high cost of living city, so real estate is ultra high. We have lots and lots of immigrants coming in. We have a bit of the tech industry coming in on here, very strong. So that is why where I'm living in right now, this is a really good market to invest your money in. The place that I have now, if this was my first ever home that I purchased and I've been saving and saving and saving, there's absolutely no way that I could afford this home, to be honest. Like, people ask me, like, how did you get this 2-bedroom apartment you have, right? And the reason I got this, I was able to get this, is because I invested early. And I know everyone is saying like, oh, you know, like you missed out on it already, you know, I'm too late because the market is so expensive, yada, yada, yada. But the reality is that it has always been expensive. Now, back then, and it's all relative to that moment in time, right? Now it is the highest it has ever been. 2 years ago, it has been the highest that it has ever been as well. So how I did it was that, you know, once I got just enough down payment, I decided to just go for it. I went for the smallest apartment you could ever get, and I went for it and I did it. And within 2 years, the appreciation from this property plus my savings was able to get me to my next stage, which is right now I'm in a 2-bedroom apartment, right? So that is basically how I got here. I also have a video on whether you should buy a car, lease a car. But I think ultimately though, with money, I never overspend. Like, in the back of my mind, I always know exactly how much is left, how much I can spend, can I afford it? I know in my mind what are the next few big purchases that I have money set aside. I always check my bank account every single week to know what my cash flow looks like. So I know for some of you, like, it is quite stressful to think about that if you are not already thinking about that. But I want to say for me though, like, I have been doing this way of thinking, oh my gosh, since I was probably like 18, or even probably earlier when I was like 16 or 17 when I had my first job. I always saved up my paycheck. I always had a savings account, even though I could not invest a single dollar back then. That is kind of what I did, and it's gotten to where I am today. So I mean, it is slow. This is definitely not an overnight process. There is no hacks to any of this. There's no quick way, but it is slow, and it is a very honest journey of someone who works 9 to 5 and invests the money and has made decisions that has worked for me so far. Time to make some broccoli. I just normally I just put it in a bowl, a pot of water, and I just boil it. Do you wash first or cut first? I am usually a cut first kind of girl, and then I wash after. But I don't know what the actual order is. I just know that at the end of the day, I am fed. So when I think about my spending, I actually don't spend a lot. Even though my credit card, it's hot. Even though my credit card bill every month averages around, I want to say close to $2,000, which is quite high. I actually don't spend a lot on random things. So I actually discontinued my Amazon. I don't have Amazon anymore. I also don't have Netflix. The only subscription service that I do have is Spotify. And I really want to challenge all of you to give it a try. Like, you would be so surprised at how well you could live without those subscriptions. So something I would also recommend, if you really can't cut it, try to share an account if you can, like with family or with your partner and things like that. I think it really goes a long way, and you start to realize that there are lots of other options to buy things as well. Like, Amazon is definitely not the only option. It is the most convenient option, but it's definitely not the only option. I've found so many more stuff over at like things that I would get on Amazon that are like just random things, I would be able to find almost the exact same thing, if not cheaper, through a local dollar store. There are also so many different options, and if you talk about like figuring out like fine dining and things, I do not do fine dining except for special occasion. So it looks like didn't add enough water to the broccoli. I need to top up. Got my extra water here because I did not add enough water. God, this happens quite often. Where are we at? Continuing dinner time. Dinner time means Uber Eats. So Uber Eats, I only use Uber Eats when I have a promo or when I have a gift card from work or something like that. Go to checkout and I never get delivery, only pickup, because pickup is free. Me walking there is free. So I usually order from something that is walkable distance versus delivery. If delivery means that you gotta pay for the fees and then I gotta tip the guy because I feel bad. So I have about $7 worth of gift card left, so I'm gonna continue to use that and then pay the rest with my Visa, right? So it looks like it'll be ready in about 10 minutes. So I'm gonna walk over there, grab the food, bring it back, and that is my dinner. We've got a dish here, we've got rice ready, we've got the broccoli boiling, and then we've got a full meal, protein, carbs, all checked off. And then maybe I'll treat myself to a milkus as well that Costco had. Thank you so much for watching. And if you haven't already, please do click subscribe, give me a quick like. It really helps this channel out. I am doing this part-time. I just do it because I love it. And hopefully this was helpful to you as well, and that it gives you a true reality of how you can get this amount of net worth by the time you've worked for about 10 years or so. So it is doable. It is doable, absolutely doable. And I think with all of the different ways that you can make money nowadays, I feel like it is even more doable down the road. You know, my goal is also 1 million, okay? $1 million, that's the goal, right? One day I'm gonna get there, you're gonna get there as well. So that's it though. Thank you so much for watching. Dinner time, bye! And it is now time for dinner. It's like fun.